You want to make content around board games. Now, regardless of whether you want to write about it and blog about it, or make videos surrounding it, take photos of board games, whatever you want to create and share surrounding this amazing hobby that we all love and enjoy, you need a brand. Branding means people will recognize your work. It also ties in your content seamlessly across all platforms and cohesively. And it also means more opportunities because now your content looks that much more professional. Haven't you heard a chef say you eat with your eyes first? Welcome to episode 8 of Revamped. So when I started all of this, I never for once thought that I would need a quote brand because it's not the first thing that you think about. You think about making videos and taking photos. But if you want to take it a step further, more than a hobby, then a brand is something that you definitely need. There are just so many little things that you can do in order to really create your brand, but it's so important to have one. And every creator, regardless of whether or not you are in the board game space or not, needs to have a specific brand. Think of it as a subtle CV or resume. Now, the first thing you want to do actually is not create anything at all. You just want to sit down and think about your niche. And yes, we're talking about board games, but there are actually niches within the board game space itself. Like think about it, what games are you interested in? Are you focused solely on family board games? Because that's its own niche. Do you want to talk about dungeon crawlers? Because that's its own thing. Do you want to talk about mostly party games? Because that's its own subset. So if you want to create a brand and start making this recognition for yourself, it's best to really niche down even further in the board game space to really think about what you want to focus on. Our field has escalated in a good way to include so many different things. You have parents that are interested in kid-friendly games. You have groups dedicated to heavy dungeon crawlers. Me, for instance, I apparently tend to lean towards the mid-weight games, even though I do photography and videos for a ton of different games. It seems to me like mid-weight is the category that I'm leaning towards, and I didn't even know that until Jesse pointed it out in his 10K video. That's when it kind of hit me like, oh yeah, actually I do only cover, for the most part, midweight games. It was a bit of an enlightening experience, so it seems to be the genre that I favor the most. So if you are starting off, I'd really highly recommend that you niche down first, and then you can always expand later. My channel, for instance, used to be called B-roll and board games. And the reason for that is because I only focused on doing B-roll for board games. But in time, I obviously wanted to expand to include a lot more things, which is why I ended up changing it to my name, because I was interested in general photography techniques. I was interested in filmmaking, or am interested because I still am. And apparently now I really love PC building despite how much of a headache this one right here caused me for several weeks. But if I were to strip everything aside, the core element of what my quote brand is photography and filmmaking in board games. So there are two reasons why niching down is so important. One is that it keeps you focused and an expert in your particular field. It is always better to be exceptional at one skill than to be okay across multiple skills. And here are a couple examples from our niche. So Rodney from Watch It Played, what does he do? Tutorials. All of them are practically tutorials, especially in the beginning. And he is incredibly clear and concise and explains how to play board games so well. Number 2, Jesse from Quacklope. I'm a bit biased because Jesse has been supporting my work from day one, even before I even know what I was doing. That's why I keep mentioning him, but his channel, super fun and engaging and has really good chemistry throughout all of his playthroughs. That's his focus. He's very good at balancing dialogue and being inclusive and including everyone to make sure that you, the viewer, is getting as much of an immersive experience as possible. And his focus, again, are playthroughs. Monique and Naveem from Before You Played, they focus on playthroughs, but simultaneously introducing you and teaching the game as well. It literally feels like you are at the table with them. Jay from 3 Minute Board Games condenses all of this information into 3 minutes. Extremely good at getting exactly what you need in a very specific time point, and that is his brand. That is just to introduce a few of the many talented creators in our board gaming space. B-roll and board games, all I was doing for that was just focusing on B-roll and making these cinematic sequences, which ended up becoming a training experience for me to lead up to the cinematic showcases that I can create today. All I was trying to do back then was to make board games look cool and to really give justice to how fun and amazing these board games are. So because I focused solely on that, that's allowed me to create the videos that I can today. This is why it's so important to niche down and to really ask yourself, what do I want to do? What is fun for me? What do I want to focus on for now? Because you can always expand later. Think of it as an inverted pyramid, right? You want to start narrow and focused and think critically about exactly what you want to do. And then once you become really, really good at that, that's when you can start slowly expand and exploring other things. When you're focusing on really refining that one skill or focusing solely on one topic, you become an expert in that field. And if you want to get into the board gaming niche, I know that there is something that you can present to the table, literally, that no one else can. You just have to find it. Now, to accent that a bit and add on to niching down, ask yourself, what is your goal? Do you want to just have fun for this? If you're listening and or watching this podcast, then you probably want a little bit more from it, right? Or it's at least piqued your interest in expanding on what may be more than a hobby for you. One big question for me that actually started all of this for me was, do you want to address an issue in the board game industry that no one else has yet addressed? Initially for me, those were two things. One was tutorials. And even though Rodney and a bunch of other people were making tutorials, a lot of my games that I was looking for didn't have them. And if they did, they were tutorials that ended up being longer than the rulebook itself. So in that particular case, I just wanted to make some videos actually for myself just to remember the game easier and just make everything concise. I just wanted to make sure everything that I needed to know was right then and there in kind of like these video journal vlogs. Now, secondly, and more impactful for me personally, was at the time, no one was making board games look as cool and as fun and as engaging as they truly were visually. So my goal and my aim now still is to really showcase and represent these games in as best of a light as possible, because these little boxes are amazing. They transport you to brand new worlds. You know, you have ways to connect with people and friends and families, and it's just a generally very fun, intriguing, interesting hobby for me. If you think of it outside of this board gaming niche, what do people think about this hobby of ours? It's a cardboard box, right? It's a cardboard box. Monopoly, sorry, Mousetrap. It's for kids. Like, no, it's a million times more than that. It is for adults as well, actually. There are more games than just one single title and a makeover of that said single title. And there are just so many genres and types of board games and party games. Bottom line, as board gamers, we all know it is a million times more fun. As board game lovers, we all know it is a million times more than that. So why keep up that perception if we're gonna keep our video production and photo quality to match what is perceived outside of the board gaming niche? It doesn't give as much justice to how these board games truly are. And that was the other major reason why I started all this. Okay, so niche down and have your goal in mind. Those are two key points to now set the foundation of actually creating your brand. When you have those two set, they are solid foundations for what we're gonna talk about now, which are the little steps that you can pull from different fields and facets of graphic design and stuff in order to lead you towards creating your own unique brand. Now, number one, you need a logo. This is not a sponsored video or podcast for all of these things I'm gonna link down below, aside from the Anchor sponsorship in the beginning. But I use a website called Fiverr. Fiverr is a website full of freelance artists that helped me come up with all the things I need in order to really define my brand. Number one, let's talk about a logo. So I linked the one down below that created my logo. If you're interested in that, these are affiliate links. So this is the logo that you see right here. Hopefully one day it will be the background for my studio, but it's across all my social media platforms. It's on the bottom right corner of your YouTube video screen. It is a point of identification, especially if you are a group of board gamers that are creating content. If you don't want to include a portrait of all yourselves, having a logo can help define your entire group. But then you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, well, how do I know what I want in a logo? Because I didn't know what I wanted. Well, based on your niche and your goal that we just talked about, that's one direction that you can definitely lean towards for creating your logo. I'll explain mine a little bit more in hopes that it helps you get some direction or some ideas or just feel inspired in some way or form. The slogan that I have for my channel and my brand is to walk the wolves. If you watched enough of my videos and seen enough of my content overall, you can probably pick up on what it means. But if this YouTube channel ever gets to 100K, then I'll make a whole cinematic video surrounding the storyline behind Walk the Wolves. 100K subs, lifelong goal for me. Who knows if I'll reach it. But if I ever do, then of course I will create a nice little story behind it. But because of that slogan, I wanted a wolf as the logo for my brand. Also, I have a wolf, or actually a husky and a German shepherd. Their names are Ace and Fuzz, respectively. But aside from me having one, it has always been my favorite spirit animal, and it also portrays exactly what I want from my brand. But then maybe you're thinking about, well, what color should my logo be? And that leads me to my second point, which is to have a color palette. A color palette consists of 3 to 5 colors that you are using across your entire social media content. Your website, your logo, Insta stories, cover art for your YouTube thumbnails, cover art for your podcast thumbnail. So here is an example of my color palette. Did I make it myself? No. I suck at graphic design, which is why I went to Fiverr, to someone who would know more than me about complementary colors and contrasting colors, just colors that go well with each other. All I knew was that I really liked teal and I really liked white. And plus that matches my studio wall. It matches a lot of the color grading that I do. So I wanted colors that would complement and or contrast or just work well with teal and white. She also gave me a font that worked with those color schemes as well. Fonts are very important too. I use a font called Montserrat, if that's how you pronounce it. Montserrat. Now that font I use across everything as well, for YouTube thumbnails, when I am making these Insta stories. I also use it in my pricing list and so on. If you like one specific font, you can even go to Google Fonts and then type it in. And then once you find your specific font that you want, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, it'll even recommend a bunch of different fonts that will work with the font that you've chosen. So let's say I use Montserrat as a headliner. It'll also give me Railway for subtitles and body text. Okay, so we have a logo, we have a color palette, and now we have fonts. So see how all of these are tying together in order to really create your brand. And what are they all tied to? Oh, that's right, your goal and your niche. We are building ways for people to recognize our brand. Next thing you know, you have someone coming across your work and all of a sudden they're like, oh, that's Rita's family board game blog. Or, oh, that's Lorraine's Insta story. Now, next up, let's talk about YouTube channel art. If you have a YouTube channel and you make videos, then this is one extremely important way for you to introduce new viewers to what you have to offer. What separates your board game reviews from everyone else? What are you giving viewers in return? Now, I am actually in the process of revamping my YouTube channel art to make it different too, so it addresses those points that I just told you. And also in your YouTube channel art, you can include your logo, you can include your color scheme, you can include your font, your slogan. Everything just ties so nicely together now that we've built that nice foundation. But one thing you can also include that we haven't talked about yet is a photo or some really hook attention grabbing pictures. So my next point is photography. You can use photography for everything, especially in the board game content creating niche, because we all want to see board games. Board games are products and we're interested in the components, the artwork, and so on. Oh, if only we knew a photographer in the board gaming niche. I have a ton of videos across my channel and more coming as well, continuously till the end of time, that are all about taking good photos and increasing the quality of our work, composition, what camera to use, what lens to use, what lens I recommend. All of those are already on the channel. I've even made photography specific playlists that you can watch. All of these are designed to help you really crank up your photography skills, because in reality, photography is so important. You can use it across everything: Insta stories, Twitter posts, Facebook banner pages, YouTube channel art, your package list for when you are charging clients. Becoming a photographer in the board gaming niche, you need to have photography skills. That's what's so cool about photography, is that everyone needs a photo, especially if you're doing products, because everyone wants to see what's inside the box. Everyone wants to see the box itself, the art, the minis, the cards, the tokens, all of that. People want to see it, and people want to see it in a good way. But some key things that I want to mention from photography today that will give you hopefully some really good value, is that especially when you are starting out and you're starting to create and define your brand, you need to take different photos. And what's really fun and really engaging about this board game community is that everyone has access to these games. When you're doing photography outside of board games, not everyone can shoot with the same model, or not everyone can go to this specific destination and shoot. But with board games, we all have access to the same exact product. And what happens when everyone has access? Everyone takes the same photo. How many times have you seen Rising Sun or Tapestry or Everdell and seen the same exact photo? A meeple with a blurred background, a card elevated above a table with a blurred background. One meeple, nice lights, blurred background. I'm not harking on anyone that does that, because I've done that myself. I still do that. But the point that I'm trying to drive home is that we are trying to distinguish our photos from everyone else. You know, if you're here and still here watching and listening to this podcast, then you probably are interested in making your work distinguishable. I'm here to tell you that if you want to push your board game content creation to the next level and make it more than a hobby and make it a brand, you're gonna have to take photos that are different. Or you can always send them to another photographer to take that as well. Those are options. But if you want to take your own photos, then you're going to have to find your own style of board game photography. And one specific way that you can do that is go on Instagram and look up a hashtag for any board game you want. If you go to Instagram, type in hashtag Wingspan, boom, you instantly have a guideline of what to do actually, because now you have a standard of what's being done. I'm here to challenge you to do that differently. And again, I am not saying this with any kind of ill intent towards anyone. You know by now that I'm here to help everyone and anyone grow, to push their creativity to the next level. And I'm actually very, very excited and happy to see how prolific board games are and how often people take photos of board games are too. But the topic today is branding, and branding means making yourself unique. One way to do that, take different photos, because then that becomes the cover art of your package list, that becomes a Twitter post that stands out, your YouTube thumbnails, and your social media in general. And again, I have a ton of videos on the channel that will help you get to the next step. But briefly, take your games outside, find a common theme, find ways to incorporate what you're interested in. If you love coffee and you always drink coffee while playing board games, then maybe take some pictures with coffee beans and a board game to the side. Maybe in one photo you could take coffee beans with key flour along a nice wooden table so it all matches. For another one, maybe you can take coffee in the morning when it's nice and cold and then you see all the steam rising, and then right behind it you'll have a copy of chai playing in the background. And then another day, maybe you have some late night gameplay with a group of friends and you're playing Gloomhaven. And then you can have like a blonde roast or some very, very strong, highly caffeinated roast of coffee that's sitting right next to a box of Gloomhaven and all the components inside it. The bottom line here that I'm trying to help you visualize is to figure out ways that you can weave your interests and your hobbies in order to make it more creative, in order to define your brand, in order to make yourself unique, in order to really create and understand something that you enjoy, that you like, that you want people to know is part of your characteristic, your personality. Bottom line is when you're adding in all these little details, it makes everything that you create more cohesive. It is so hot. We're going through a heat wave in California now and I am glossy. So I want to mention two other things today that you can use in your toolkit, just so you're aware of it at least. One is motion graphics. Now motion graphics I did in this video here, which is also linked down below. Motion graphics, for those that are listening in, motion graphics, instead of just putting static text like this in your videos, are animated text. So there's a fade in, fade out. There's one where there's a line that comes in and it just swipes across and reveals text as it goes across. All of these actually, and one other one I did for free, which you can download with the link below. I've also linked a video here in case you're interested in that. That video will show you how to download it, install it, and how to use it properly. And guess what? You're gonna need a specific font for it, which you've already decided by now. And there you go. When you're making videos, now you can put animated text with your specific font that you want. And the very last thing I want to mention, more so for photographers, it helps to have a signature or a signature logo. Now I do use one at the very end of my intros, which you'll see right here. Again, just minor little things that helps accent everything and puts everything together. Is it a big deal? Of course not. I used a company called Photo Logo in order to create mine. But later on when you have it, you can put it on your package list, you can put it on your prints. A signature logo, especially for photographers, is just something that is very important to have. So bottom line, those are a ton of different things that you can do in order to really create and define your brand. Having a brand is also a reason why I don't even watermark my photos, because multiple times I've actually had people come up to me and say, hey Tim, this is your photo and it was posted here without any kind of citation, whatever. So it's nice to know that people recognize your work right away and they will even refer to you like, oh, someone else is stealing your picture or whatever. You know, luckily that doesn't happen too often, but either way, I hope you all enjoyed this podcast episode. Thank you all for listening in or watching and listening to this podcast, episode 8. I am so glad to have you all here on Revamped and on the channel in general, especially the hundreds of you that are coming from Quackalope's channel. Thank you all so much for joining in. If you have any questions about any particular brands or photography techniques or whatever you need answered, please leave them down in the comments below. I'd also really appreciate it if you leave a review for the podcast. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, that would help me tremendously. But until then, I will see you all in episode 9.